Hello students, I hope you're all doing good. Today we'll be learning a new chapter entitled Sensational Poems from Unit 6. For better learning, I have divided the chapter into two halves. So for today, we'll be discussing the first half, that is the first few subtopics, and the other half of the chapter will be discussed in the next video round. So for today, we will mainly be focusing on these four subtopics. Firstly, we have the subtopic, talk about it. Second, hear the sounds. Third, descriptive verbs. And lastly, rhyming patterns. So for the first subtopic, talk about it, here we will be discussing about the different senses and how poets make use of these different senses, that is imagery, to connect poems with the real world. We are aware that there are sights, sounds, and smell all around us. Our senses helps us to connect with the world and makes us feel part of it. Now, as I read this poem, try and close your eyes and listen to the poem. As you do so, imagine the different senses used by the poet and imagine the setting of the poem. Mangroves by Zelda Quakerwood. Buzzing, stinging, mozzies roam, silent biters send flies home. Greens, browns, reds and blue, smoky fire keep them from you. Salty dampness, muddy banks, crab empires our tummies stank. Fire smells, salty air, good night sweet mangroves for secrets shared. Here in this poem, the poet is expressing her experience in the muddy and damp mangrove forest, where there are mosquitoes. Mosquitoes here are referred to as mosses. So, she talks about the mosquitoes roaming around, biting her silently, and how the colorful smoke from the fire is helping to keep the mosquitoes away. The smell from the smoky fire is creating a salty air which the poet can taste and smell. We can see how the poet has made use of all the different senses. For example, for the sense of sound, the word buzzing helps to create the sound created by the mosquitoes. For sight, the lines greens, browns, reds and blue, smoky fire helps to inform what the poet can see. For touch, the lines silent biters expresses how the poet can feel the mosquitoes bite, and the other line dampness and muddy banks describe how the poet's feet is slightly wet and muddy. For the sense of taste and smell, the lines fire smells, salty air helps to describe how the poet can smell the smoke from fire and almost taste the salty air coming out from it. So this is how poet make use of all the different senses and applies it to the poem in order for us readers to be able to imagine and experience the same experiences of the poet. Next subtopic, hear the sound. Here we will learn about a new poetic device called onomatopoeia, which is about sound words used in poems by poets. Let us first read this poem to find out more about the related topic. The Washing Machine by Jeffrey Davis. It goes flunkety, then schlunkety as the washing goes around. The water splunches and it slunches as the washing goes around. As you pick out, it splotches, then it floaches as the washing goes around. But at the end, it sploppers and then floppers and the washing stops going round. Here in this poem, you can see many new unreal words used. The poet is basically trying to explain the working of a washing machine and how it makes different noises while it is working. Now, in order to explain the working of a washing machine in the poem, the the poet has used many new words to describe the sound. The words flunkety, schlunkety, splunchuses, flunchuses, splotchuses, flotchuses, sploperus, and flopperus used in the poems are the words to describe the sound made by the washing machine as it starts working. These words are made up by the poet for fun as there are not enough real words to express these noises. These words are what we describe it as onomatopoeia. Now, what is onomatopoeia? Onomatopoeia is a poetic device used by poets in poems. It is a word that originates from a particular sound. For example, ding dong is an onomatopoeia word associated with the noise that a doorbell makes. Honk is a sound associated with the noise of a car horn. Buzz is the sound of a bee. Likewise, you can see in the particular picture, there are so many different examples of sound words. We have bang, bam, beep. These words are usually used for like an explosion or gun sounds, etc. Oops is also used when you make a particular mistake. Ouch is also used when you are hurt. Likewise, we have so many examples in order to express sound words. So all these collectively, when you want to explain a particular sound or describe a particular sound, and when you make up your own word, that is what we understand it as onomatopoeia. And these are usually used by poets in poems. Let's have a look at a few more examples. Below we have a collection of onomatopoeia examples. Words related to water. Splish, splash, squirt, drip, drizzle. So now for example, just say you want to say water dropped. So now instead of using the word dropped, you can replace it by using either one of this onomatopoeic word, that is splish, splash. So now the sentence can be as the water splished or the water splashed. Words related to air. Flutter, gasp, swish, whoosh, wheeze. Animal sounds. Bark, meow, chirp, hiss, moo, quack, ribbit. Words related to collision, meaning when objects crash or hit or explode. Click, clang, clatter, bang, thud, thump, boom. So now you can see how we can replace the ordinary words that we usually use so that we can make the sentence sound more interesting for people to listen. This is the main purpose of onomatopoeia in order to describe the different sound produced by different things. Moving on to a new subtopic, that is descriptive verbs. Now we are very much aware of what verbs are, but now let us find out what are descriptive verbs and how these are used in poems. We understand how verbs are words used to describe an action, whereas descriptive verbs are words that add significance or purpose to whatever the state or action is. So basically verbs and descriptive verbs are somewhat similar, but descriptive verbs gives more meaning to it and makes the sentence more interesting instead of the ordinary verb. Now for examples, we have the sentences below. The underlined words are the different verbs. Now let's see how we can replace these ordinary verbs by the help of descriptive verbs. Plane, flying. So instead of flying, we can replace it with the descriptive verbs, that is zooming, whizzing, or rattling. These are also different sounds that are produced in the air. So now instead of the common sentence, the plane is flying, we can replace it by saying that the plane is zooming or the plane is whizzing. Another sentence, the old man sleeping. So now we can replace the verb sleeping with the descriptive verb snoring, grunting, or heaving. These are also sounds that are usually produced by elderly people. So now instead of just using the ordinary verb sleeping, we can replace it by using either one of these descriptive verbs. Children playing. So now for the playing, we can replace it with the descriptive verbs like laughing, shouting, joking, because these are practically what the children does. So now it's not necessary that we need to only express what the children are currently doing. That is why we say that descriptive words adds more significance or purpose to the particular action. So now the action was playing. So now we're replacing the ordinary verb by adding a more descriptive verb to it. Last we have mouse eating. So now instead of eating, we can replace it by saying either mouse nibbling or scratching or the mouse scuffling. So this is how descriptive verbs are used in order to modify the ordinary sentences by describing it more descriptively. Now let's explore the poem Dinner Time by Debbie Regard. Pots bashing, water splashing, whizzing, butter sizzling, cutlery banging, plates clanging, kettle singing, oven bell pinging, dinner's ready. Here in this poem, the poet is describing a scene in the kitchen when dinner is being prepared. We can understand the use of different kitchen utensils and different sounds produced by them, and how finally the dinner is ready to be served. Here we can see the use of descriptive verbs such as bashing, splashing, whizzing, sizzling, banging, clanging, singing, pinging. And these words also help to show the use of onomatopoeia because it is describing the sound produced by the different utensils. The structure for the poem is that it has two stanzas of 4 lines each and one final line as a conclusion. Each line is punctuated with an exclamation mark and an ellipsis, that is, 3 full stop in each last line of stanza. This helps to create a pause before the final exclamation. The present continuous tense ending with ing creates a busy mood and a non-stop rhythm to the poem. Moving on to the final subtopic, we have rhyming patterns. We will learn about rhyme words here and the rhyming patterns used in poems. Rhyme words are 2 or more words that have the same or similar sound. If they sound similar, they rhyme. For example, lunch and brunch, nest and pest, life and wife. You see how all of these different words sound similar to one another. Therefore, this is what we understand as rhyme words. Rhyme is the repetition of similar sounds at the end of a particular word. Rhyming patterns are usually marked with the alphabetical letters serially, that is, A, B, C, D, E, and so forth, at the end of the rhyming word. If the words sound similar, they will have a similar alphabetical letter. A rhyme scheme is the pattern of sounds that repeat itself mainly at the line of a particular stanza. Rhyme schemes can change line by line, stanza by stanza, or can continue throughout a poem. Now let's read this nursery rhyme and try to identify the rhyme scheme. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece as white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Now for example, lamp is the last word from the first line, so for this we will mark it with the alphabet A. The next word is snow at the second line. Now, lamp and snow does not sound similar, so we will mark it with the next alphabet, which is letter B. Next, we have the word went in the third line, that is the last word in the particular line, and since the word went does not sound similar to either the last two final words in each line, that is lamp and snow, we will mark it with the next letter C. So you can see how it is going serially, right? The alphabetical letters A, B, C, because the last word of each line is not rhyming with one another. Therefore, we have all different alphabetical letters that is placed serially. Lastly, we have the word go. That is the last word in the particular last line. And since go sounds similar with the word snow, see, go, snow. See, it's sounding similar, right? Therefore, we will mark it with the same letter as that of the word snow. So, in the second line, after snow, we have the alphabet B. And since the last line and the last word go sounds similar to one another, snow and go, therefore we will place it with the same alphabetical letter, that is B. So now the rhyming pattern for this particular nursery rhyme will be A, B, C, B. Let's look at another example. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. In this example, you can notice how the words star and R sound similar. That is, the last two words from the first and the second line. It is important to remember to focus on the last words of each particular line in order to find out the rhyming scheme or the rhyming pattern. Okay, so in the first two lines we have star and R. So since these two sound similar, we would place it with the same alphabetical letter. So the first alphabetical letter is A, and therefore it sounds similar. We will have it placed as A and A. Next, the next two lines we have high and sky as the end word in both in the third and the fourth line. High, sky, they sound similar, right? So now we will put the alphabetical letter B, and because it sounds similar, both will have the same alphabetical letter. Okay, so now the rhyming pattern for this example will be AA, B, B. Similarly for the poem Dinner Time, we will have the rhyming pattern as AA, BB, CC, DD, and the final concluding line will be E. Why? Because the rhyme words in the first and the second line are similar, that is, bashing, splashing. It is similar. Therefore, it will have the same alphabetical letter, that is AA. Next, in the third and fourth line, we have whizzing and sizzling. These two sound similar. Therefore, it will have the same alphabetical letter. In the second stanza, we have cutlery banging, plates clanging. Now, banging, clanging, they sound similar. Therefore, it will have the same alphabetical letter, that is CC. Next, we have kettle singing, oven bell pinging. Singing, pinging, they sound similar. So, they will have the same alphabetical letter, that is DD. And the last line, dinner's ready, ready. Now, ready does not sound similar to any one of the above mentioned last words. Therefore, it will have a separate alphabetical letter. Now, you can see how the letters are all placed serially. Since the first two lines sound similar, therefore it has AA. But supposing if the first line and the second line did not sound similar, then the first line will be A and the second will be B. Okay, and so forth, it will go serially. But because it sounds similar, the first two lines both have the similar alphabetical letter. And the third and fourth line have both the same sound, therefore it is BB, but it does not sound similar to the first two lines. Therefore, from A we have moved on to the next alphabetical letter, that is the letter B. Likewise, I want you to find the examples from the different poems used in your textbook, and then for you to find out the rhyming patterns of each of these particular poems. With this, we come to an end for today's learning. I hope you have learned something new from today's class. The other half subtopics will be discussed in the next video. So until then, stay safe and take care.